Hey everyone, here we have Tom Hanks speaking at Oxford about acting, and I just wanted to analyze some of the stuff he said. I liked a lot of what he said. Some of the stuff I disagreed with, and that's just par for the course. But we have to know who he's talking to. These are all students, these are not actors. So we have to keep that in context. But let's go ahead and analyze what he says and talk about it. So here we go.
What you have to get over in order to do what I do for a living, and a handful of other people in this room also do for a living, is you have to get past any sense of self-consciousness. You cannot care what you look like or what you sound like. You cannot care if you are sounding artificial. But you cannot be artificial. You can only get up, hit the marks, and tell the truth, no matter what the line is, no matter what the circumstance is, no matter what the emotion is, that you must not fake, but recreate at that individual.
So, touching on that first point, it's a poignant and important point. Not a lot of people can do what actors do, perform, if you will, in a room of sometimes 100 strangers with a big camera pointing in your face and pretty much ignore it. It takes a special breed, aka someone with a few screws loose, if not all of their screws loose, in order to again ignore the camera. And ignoring the camera is a whole new topic of discussion, a Pandora's box, if you will, because some people are better at it than others. Some people can kind of ignore the camera to a certain degree while others can ignore it more. But again, that's a different topic of discussion, so comment down below if you want to talk about that. But it's a fine line because you have to be captured on camera. You have to be, in the lighting. That's why they have marks, because the cinematographer has lights strategically placed for you to show, for your eyes to show, what have you, whatever it may be. So it's a dance, it's a balance. Even that, the positioning of where you are. They even have stand-ins to stand in for the actors so they can measure the light very precisely. So that's an important part. That's why Tom mentioned hitting your marks, right? So number one, I think probably 80 to 90% of the general population can't act. Number one, not because of anything to do with acting, but because they're conscious and they can't be natural in front of a crew and cameras on cue. Just think about it. When you had to do public speaking in school or at your job, or, even if it's in front of 3 people or 300 people, most people can't do that. It takes a certain amount of practice, training, preparation, even to do that. So, can you imagine being in front of a crew and then knowing eventually this may be seen in front of 100,000, 10,000, or 10 million people? What type of anxiety that can cause for certain people? So, let's go on.
Spencer Tracy said you have to hit the marks and tell the truth. That is a very hard thing to do naturally. So we are all going to take part in an acting class tonight, every single one of us. All right, this first and probably most precious exercise is called repetitions. If you take an acting class, which in all honesty, I never did, but if you
I just wanted to stop on that statement. In all honesty, I never did. Take this how you will. I'm not, whatever, right? I think that's an egotistical statement. I think every time you watch an interview of an actor and you take something from it, or you have a discussion with a fellow actor and they may shed light on something that they see, that's an acting class, essentially. He's kind of saying, "Oh, I'm accomplished and a Academy Award winner, but I never took an acting class." That's just kind of an egotistical thing, and he's a human being. I'm not knocking the guy, right? But you know, an acting class could be any. It could be a book you read, Michael Caine's book, or Uda Hagen, or whatever. Again, it could be a discussion with a director, with Spielberg. He's worked with Spielberg. That can be an acting class. You're learning, right? So that's just a quick point I wanted to make. I don't like when people say that, It's kind of like, oh, I don't need an acting class. Like, if you take an acting class, like that's a bad thing. It means you're lesser of an actor. I don't think so.
Take an acting class. One of the ways you break down self-consciousness, which is your own concept of what you look like and how you sound. You do this little exercise called repetition. I'm going to give you a line. It's a very simple line. And what you have to do, and we're going to do it out loud, so everybody can get past any of that. No one's going to be cold on the carpet, but everybody does have to participate. Otherwise, I'll cripple you. You have to say these words. Is there something I can do for you? But you can't just say the words. You have to ring out every possible meaning, every possible cadence, every possible variation of that line of dialogue. Is there something I can do for you? In a repetitions class, you would have to stand in front of everybody else in the class and keep saying it again and again and again in a different form. And you only lose your chance to do that when you repeat yourself, all right? So the line is there something I can do for you? And we are all going to now say that as many different ways as we can, all right? You're just you. You're nobody else. You're just who you are, okay? The line, once again, is there something I can do for you? All ready? Ready? Let's begin in 3, 2, 1. Is there something I can do? Is there something I can do?
So I think that's a Meisner exercise, right? Repeating a simple statement over and over again. And it's proof positive. Just looking at the audience, they're getting a kick of just doing what Tom Hanks, the famous actor, is telling them to do. They're giggling, they're laughing, they're saying it to each other, repeating it. Like, this is proof positive that 90% of the general population has not an ice cube's chance in hell of being an actor, right? And maybe this guy over here, he looks like he looks like he's an actor. He's sitting there just watching. But most of the people, they're getting a kick out of it. And it's not only what would they do in terms of if they were in front of a crew and in front of cameras pointing at them. Just look at how they look at Tom Hanks. They don't even look at him as a human being. They look at him as a commodity, as a thing, as a celebrity, right? That term. Little do they know that they're misguided and they've been brainwashed by seeing multiple multi-million um, reproductions of his image, whether that be through DVD, television, pictures, posters, at movie theaters, on cups, on mugs, on lunchboxes, hearing his voice, on animation. So of course, they don't even look at him, as a human being. But if you take Tom's perspective, do you think he doesn't view himself or feel like a human being? Of course he does. He just got out of the bathroom before he's speaking in front of these people. He might be passing gas as he's speaking. He's fumbling his words. He sounds like he may have had a drink or he's really tired. He knows he's a human being. He knows he's mortal. But why do these people look at him like he's something unique and different? Because he has a unique skill set that he's crafted and honed for decades, right? And this is the difference between quote unquote an actor and the general public. Just wanted to talk about that mirror reflection of the things that I see.
Fine. So you know the words and you've already experienced them. Okay, now I'm going to give you the circumstance. You are you, all right? You are having a magnificent day. You're going to go off and you're going to have a cup of coffee with someone that you have a great crush on, and you believe that person has a great crush on you. You're at the beginning of a marvelous relationship with someone who you think is going to perhaps give you, if not a lifetime of happiness, a few weeks or a few months.
Or a few minutes.
You're done with your work for the day. You don't have any, you get to sleep in late tomorrow. It's going to be a lovely, lovely evening. And you are going to go and have a delightful exchange with somebody you're looking forward to. But up in front of you, an elderly person carrying a package has tripped and fallen down onto their knees. All right? What do you say at that moment? This is something I can do for you. Okay, ready? So, all right, now, okay. All right, we have the circumstance. It's outside, it's cold, and someone who looks like one of your grandparents or an elderly neighbor has fallen down and landed on one knee. And you say in 3, 2, 1. Right, let's try it again. Ready? 3, 2, 1. All right. Let's try it one more. It must be different from what you just did. Okay, ready? 1, 3, 2, 1. Okay, very good. Okay.
So I just wanted to stop it there. In that scenario, it depends on the eye of the beholder, so to speak, right? It depends on who's looking at the elderly person who tripped and dropped their package. Number one, if it's somebody, let's just say me, number one, could I perceive it as being cock blocking? Not purposefully, but hey, I'm trying to get laid over here and you're getting in the way. You're delaying things, right? Um, Get out of the way, old lady. Here, take your package and get the hell out of here. I mean, I'm from New York. That could be my reaction, right? Or another reaction could be, I want to see, oh, this is a perfect opportunity. I want this person to see me as the nicest guy in the world. So I'm going, oh, are you okay? Here's your package. How are you today? Blah, 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 blah. Number two, right? Number three, it could just be matter of fact. Here you go. Grab the package, give it to them. Have a good day. See you later. Boom. Those are three quick scenarios. So there's no right or wrong answer. And I don't know what the expected reaction would be or what he would expect them to do. But again, it depends on who you are, how you are, who you are at that moment. Whatever you do, it could be the opposite of what you're feeling inside. Inside, you could be hating the person for interrupting you, but on the outside, you could be super nice. It all depends, right? And there is no wrong answer.
Yeah, excellent, Bob. All right. Now, the same exact words. Is there something I can do for you? Except now, you are a civic employee. You work in an information booth at City Hall. All you do all day long is say those words to everybody that comes in through the door. Is there something I can do for you? These people are idiots. They're morons. They're clucks. Sometimes they don't speak your same language, but it doesn't matter because your job, the way you earn your living, is to sit in that booth and all day long say, is there something I can do for you? You've said it 8 million times in the course of the last 3 years, right? Not only that, your spouse at home, you've been arguing with them like crazy. Your kids are all brats. You'd like to go off. You haven't been to see a movie in months because you can't afford it. You are not a happy person on this midweek exchange. Your hours that you're putting in. You are bored. You are tired, and you're angry. But guess what you have to say to everybody that comes into the hallway? You have to say, you're way too passive, far too interested. Again, you're gonna be look at the clock, realize that it's still 17 minutes to lunch, and you're gonna look up and say, okay, ready? That's right. 3, 2, 1. All right, that's not bad. Can you be a little more angry, bored, and vituperative, if I'm using that word properly? 1, 2, 3. All right, let's change it a little bit. Someone has stood in front of you for a few minutes and hasn't asked a question. You're just going to look up to them and say, 3, 2, 1. Something I can do for you? All right.
What I would do in one of the takes is I wouldn't say anything. I would kind of throw off the fellow actor and the director and just give them the look and say it in my mind with whatever feeling that I have. That's just a quick improv thing that I would do. That's what's coming to me. Number two, a lot of the times, I mean, we've all dealt with these types of people who are at that monotonous job, whether that be at the local Starbucks or again at the airport information desk or whatever. You know, again, what they project on the outside isn't necessarily what they're feeling on the inside. right? And that's probably, I would venture to say, most of the time, that's how it goes when it comes to service industry, you know. But it doesn't mean that you don't sense something instinctually that they're not happy or they're kind of angry, but they're still smiling and they say it still in a somewhat friendly way because it's their job, it's their livelihood, right? So you could say it with a smile. It could be a fake smile, and you can say it, seemingly friendly, but internally you could be feeling like, I want to, choke this person. You know what I mean? So there's just different ways you can play with it. It doesn't necessarily have to be okay. The director in this case, who's Tom Hanks, you're mad, your life sucks at home, you haven't watched the movie or whatever he said. So I'm gonna say it like, is there something I can do for you? That's just kind of dull and ignorant, if you ask me, right? You want to be a real human being, you want to display real behavior, then think about the encounters you've had with service industry people. And again, at least half, if not the majority of those people, at least on the outwardly, as I said, project the conventional friendliness that they're trained to project, whether that be on the phone. You're calling your T-Mobile or Verizon customer service rep. They're going to try to, at least some of them are going to try to sound friendly, right? They're not going to be like, how may I help you? You know what I mean? Because they get fired over time, right? So you can play with things like that. You could be feeling something on the inside, but on the outside project differently, determined by what your actual job description is.
Look at the difference between those two lines, the two different circumstances. One, you're incredibly happy and you feel sorry for somebody who's there. This one, you're incredibly bored and unhappy, and you have to say this to this person.
You see, right there's the perfect example of interpretation. The first example, Tom thought of it as a happy thing, as I said, when the old lady interrupts your little date with your new partner or whatever it is. He saw it as an incredibly happy scenario, right? And the second one, he saw it as an incredibly opposite, not happy scenario, whatever it is. That's his interpretation, and he's an Oscar award-winning actor, whatever it may be. But I saw it differently, right? Because I'm me, he's him, you're you. You're going to see it different from both of us. So that's what you need to bring to the table. Your experience, your interpretation, depending on what you're feeling. You may be the first person, or you may go with what I said. This person's cock blocking. Here, take your stuff and get the hell out of here, right? Or you could be the second person, you know. Oh, I want to impress my date, so I'm going to act nice. Here you go, right? I may be revealing a little bit too much about myself here, but or you could be yourself. Maybe you're genuinely a really nice person and you don't have any of those thoughts or inclinations of cock blocking or I'm going to act nice, to get points from my date. Maybe you genuinely care about people and the elderly and you really want to help them and you're friendly and you're smiling and you give them the package. God bless you. But you get the gist. Every individual has to bring their uniqueness, their interpretation of every single scenario.
Is there something I can do for you has very, 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 very different connotations. All right, here's the last one. You ready for this? You're a shopkeeper in a relatively tough part of town. And you have to deal with thieves who steal cigarettes from you, theft from all of your shelves. You come in and you get hassled by the neighborhoods who don't like you. Essentially, you have to deal with people that are going to possibly rob you. Because as they walk in, you don't like the color of their skin, you don't like the clothes that they're wearing, you don't know that you don't like that you've seen them around before. You just
It kind of sounded a little bit off, but let's just skip over that.
this person is going to be trouble, and you are not going to let anybody rip you off again because you worked too hard in order to build this little shop, in order to pay for your kids' clothes.
You want to talk about acting? I just noticed something here. I mean, these are Oxford students, right? The two that we can see, or the three that we can see. Acting is part observation, and I guess I'm an actor, so I'm gonna observe or talk about what I've observed. As he's talking about these things, I see three people in this shot other than Tom. You have one, two, three, And I felt something from their reactions, kind of a cringe thing of while he was saying what he said. And I even observed what he said sounded kind of racist, right? I don't know if you noticed that, but this is just observing. This is part of acting. This is an exercise, not a judgment on Tom. He's kind of freestyling and talking, so you can't, hold this against him. It might have just been a slip of the tongue, but in either case, that's not the point here. Let's observe these people that we're watching.
Hassled by the neighborhoods who don't like you. Essentially, you have to deal with people that are going to.
She's the girl in the back. She's normal, right? Nothing's changed about him. He's just watching. Nothing. Okay, let's keep watching them.
Possibly rob you. Because as they walk in, you don't like the color of their skin. You don't like the clothes that they're wearing. You don't know.
She's processing what he's saying, what he just said there, the color of their skin. He's processing it now. He's not looking at him anymore. He's kind of looking into space. He's not looking at somebody in the audience. That would be kind of creepy, right? So he's processing it now. Again, these are smart kids, the cream of the crop, right? Oxford. And they look somewhat ethnic as well, right? So let's keep watching them.
You don't like that you've seen them around before. You just know this person is going to be trouble.
She just had a little lip curl. She looked down. You can rewind and watch again if you want. Little micro expressions. You can use this in your acting. Micro expressions, body language. You can do these little things not to show anybody, hey, look what a brilliant actor I am, but just to show real behavior and as a challenge to yourself. You don't have to drop to your knees and cry during a death scene. You could do a micro expression, right? Because that's harder to do, isn't it? So let's keep watching them.
You are not going to let.
She just took a glance to the right, a real quick kind of, do I notice any body language differences from the crowd from what he just said? Did they hear what I just heard? He's kind of looking this way too. Maybe they're looking in the similar direction. She just had the micro look over here. He's looking in the similar direction. Maybe somebody turned in their seat. All of these things are instinctual. None of these things are planned as they're going, right? But I'm pretty sure they noticed what he said and they know what he said can be classified as racist. Again, I'm not calling him a racist, but it can be classified as that. All right.
Anybody rip you off again.
He's kind of looking around. His eyes are kind of glancing around like, well, did I just hear what I thought I heard?
Work too hard in order to build this little shop, in order to pay for your kids' clothes and the house that you.
She kind of did the look down, snap out of it thing, and he's kind of doing that to him, with him, in his own head, also kind of looking around and kind of snap out of it. No, Tom Hanks isn't a racist.
So the last thing you're going to do is be polite to this person because you know that this person is probably going to steal from you. So what do you say to them? In 3, 2, 1. Right.
Look at his face. He's like, what? He didn't even participate. He's pissed off. He's angry. I don't think she said anything either. And also, they're not as animated and not all of them participated in that. Look at his face. He's like, yikes. She's laughing because of his reaction. Look at that. Right? And of course, again, as I said, a quarter of them only participated in this one because of the cringe of what he just said. Look at his face. Look at her face. They're not smiling anymore, are they? Again, these are the smartest kids in this area, right?
You sure you want to come in here right now? Well, let's try it again. 3, 2, 1. All right, that's not bad, but wouldn't it kind of be like, hey, is there something I can do for you? Right?
That was bad acting. That was terrible acting. What I would do if I was in this scenario that the director, Tom Hanks, in this case, described, is I would do the opposite. Because if I'm in a rough and tumble neighborhood and you got these hoods coming into the store and I feel like I might get robbed or whatever it may be, I would be friendly. I would be smiling, or at least I would be, non-threatening because I'm scared. I wouldn't be, is there something I can do for you? Because right away I'm egging into the conflict, aren't I? That's real behavior. I don't think Tom spent any time in the hood.
All right, let's try it again. One more time. You hate this person that walked in.
But I just want to add, this guy's been acting since what, the 70s, late 60s possibly? Remember Bosom Buddies? Probably you don't, right? This guy's been acting for a long time. He's a dinosaur. At the end of the day, you know, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yes, he's a fine actor. Yes, he has many accomplishments. Yes, I respect him. That's not the point here. He's not from contemporary society that we know, right? And he hasn't seen the same things that we have. So it's time for the new guard to show new real behavior. And the case in point was just the behavior he just exhibited. No shop owner in the hood is gonna say to some hoods who go in the store like, "Is there something I can do for you?" Like, you know, waiting to get shot. You know what I mean? Again, you're gonna be friendly. You're gonna try to speak their lingo, something stupid, whatever it may be. You may say something corny, but in either case, it's not gonna be threatening because you feel threatened. You feel scared. At least that's my interpretation. And they're laughing because they know it's ridiculous. They look like they're from the hood. You know what I mean? Look at this guy. He's cringing. He's laughing because they know that was not real behavior. They're embarrassed for him. Oh, man. Tommy.
You're going to call the cops on this person. If he gives you any lip whatsoever, you're going to call the police.
If he gives you any lip whatsoever. Oh, man.
That's what I'm looking for. All right. A third variation on a very simple line. Is there something I can do for you? What have you learned about yourself just in those three iterations? One, that you can be kind and you can fake it. Two, you can be bored and you can fake it. But three, you can be angry and suspicious and you can fake it. But it's 1,000 times better and will hit the audience in a way that is undeniable if you truly are kind to that old lady who fell down or bored by that person who comes in.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt again. I just wanted to say on what he's speaking right now. So maybe it's more of the body language. So scenario one, the old lady drops the package. What I would do personally is, and this may be ageism. This could be wrong. I don't know. But it's not so much how I say it or what I'm saying. It's my body would kind of lean down towards her because I know the elderly sometimes are hard of hearing. That would be my first inclination out in the quote unquote real world. Either speak a little bit louder or my body language would lean down towards them because, again, the prejudicial thought is that the elderly don't hear as well, right? The last scenario, again, who cares how I say it, what I say, you know, for argument's sake, but maybe I say whatever I say and however I say it, but let's say I'm looking at their waist, I'm looking at their hands to see if they have a weapon. If I'm a person who's paranoid in this neighborhood and I've been robbed before, maybe it's more the eyes that are doing the acting, right? And I'm not saying you stare at their belt, you know, for the whole time or whatever. I'm saying, again, a micro expression, right? A quick glance up and down or whatever it may be. Or maybe you look at the first guy and then you look at the second guy and then you kind of peek over at the third guy behind him. So maybe it's more of the behavior, or maybe it's a combination of these things. Again, that's up to you. That's the beauty of acting. There's no right or wrong answer. Tom is going to show where he's from and what he's used to and his thought processes, right? I'm going to show where I'm from, my thought processes, all within the context of the character, right? And the scenario, but also how I'm feeling at the moment. I could be a guy, you know, who has a shop in the hood who's been robbed before, but maybe I made $5,000 that day, 5 times what I normally make. So maybe I'm in a jovial mood, and maybe I don't care, or I'm not thinking these guys are bad, or whatever it may be. Or maybe I have a sweet 16 party for my friend's daughter or my daughter after work tonight, and I'm in a especially jovial mood. And maybe I give them a 6-pack of beer and say, "Sorry guys, I'm closing," or whatever you guys want. It's on the house. It depends on the scenario.
Because what you say and how you say it is part of the procedure and the behavior of how we all live our lives right now. And you, the audience, we've all sat down and watched a movie and said, I don't believe that. And the reason you don't believe that because those people didn't really go there.
Yeah, Tom, they didn't believe you as the shop owner in the hood, right? Because you didn't really go there.
So if you see a movie in which somebody says, can I help you because of an old lady, or this is something I can do for you because of you, the actor that is in that place, has to be the conduit of that reality and that true procedure and behavior. Because at the end of the day, you can have as many humps and different makeup styles and hair and wigs and costumes, but if you're not actually adhering to the procedure and behavior of the moment, you're faking it. And therefore, you're not part of the great social purchase that goes between the audience and the storytellers, because that's what we all are. All right, now we're going to flip it. All right, we're going to have another line. We'll start with the repetitions exercise. The line is, it's all right, I'm okay. All right? It's all right, I'm okay. Say it once. It's all right, I'm okay. Now let's have a few minutes of repetitions. Work out that line in as many different ways as you can. It's all right, I'm okay. Ready? Go ahead.
Quick note: when he told them what the line was, that first, "It's all right, I'm okay," the first time, that was his best performance. When he said, "Is it something I can do for you?" the first time, when he was telling them what the line is at the beginning of the video, that was his best performance. What do I mean by that? There was nothing in it. There was no thought. There was no trying. There was no inflection. There wasn't anything. And that's actually my philosophy of acting. The most natural is the most close to quote unquote real life. And every other time he said it, there was at least something put into it. So if you want, rewind it back and watch, you know, and see what you think, if I'm crazy or not. But that's just my opinion. That's my philosophy, right? And everybody's different. Same thing with musicians. I think the first take is always the best take because it's the most organic. There's the most natural inflections, natural rhythm, little imperfections, digital versus analog, if you will. Again, closest to real life. Real life is not perfect.
It's all right. All right. Very good. Very good. All right. It's all right. I'm okay. Same scenarios, except this time you're playing the other character. You're the elderly person who fell down. You're who you are that you fell down. You're embarrassed. You were trying to juggle all these things. You're trying to get home in a period of time. You hit a slippery part of the sidewalk. You went down. You know what? And you actually did hurt your knee. All right? But what you hear from behind you is, is there something I can do for you? Right? Was that the line? What was it? How can I help you with it? How can I help? All right? So I will give the line, how can I help you? And you tell me, it's all right, I'm okay. This first time, you're embarrassed. You don't want anybody to help you. You just want to get out of an uncomfortable social circumstance. Ready? All right. I'll give you the line, and you'll say, it's all right, I'm okay. And what was the line? Is there something I can do? Is there By the way, this is a problem when you get a little bit older, you start forgetting more. Is there something I can do for you? Thank you. All right. Ready? Hey, is there something I can do for you? Let's try that again, all right? You're falling down. Feel the pain in your knee right now. Actually, be rubbing your knee as I say this, okay? Ready? In 3, 2, 1. Hey, is there something I can do for you?
That's a really good tip, by the way, by a veteran actor. Rub your knee. Any type of physical action that aligns with whatever the scene is or the emotion or feeling is, it actually kickstarts you and helps you get into the moment. So that's a really good tip right there.
It's a little loud, guys. I think, you can bring it down just a little bit. Just almost be saying it to yourself. Is there something I can do for you? Okay, all right, good. All right, so what have you learned about yourself there? You could be humiliated at the same time you could be helpful. Okay, now the next scenario. The board person at the you have come into City Hall. You know exactly what room you have to be in. And yet you're not quite sure if you have all the correct papers, and you'd like to ask this person in the booth whose job it is to help you get through your day when you're right there. But this person has been looking down at their watch, and you are waiting for them to acknowledge you, and they don't until they look up and say, is there something I can do for you? All right? And you're going to say, all right. Now, why would you say that in this circumstance? Why would you say that? Because you're intimidated, because you've been ashamed by this person. You've been embarrassed by this person. You don't have the social confidence in order to say, yeah, I need some help. No, you don't want to be in more trouble from this lady. Okay, ready? Is there something I can do for you? Again, way too confident, folks. Imagine you're saying it and backing away at the same time. Ready? Is there something I can do for you? All right. All right. You've been in another incredibly uncomfortable circumstance, and if you actually felt uncomfortable while you were doing that, you told the truth. Okay, now it's the last one. You are exactly who you are. You look exactly the way you do. You're just going to pick up, a packet of crisps and a soda to a shop that you're not familiar with. And the person who owns this shop obviously hates your guts. For some reason, you have no idea why. You're just a customer wanting to do it. And as soon as they hit you with this line, is there something I can do for you? You realize that this person looks at me like I'm the enemy. I'm the enemy. So the fact is that no, I'll just pick this stuff up and I'll pay and I'll get out of here as soon as I can. All right? So that's your circumstance right now. Your line again is, it's okay. What is it? It's all right. I'm okay. Ready? Okay. Ready? Is there something I can do for you? One more time, okay? Maybe add just a tiny bit of moment because it's almost like he slapped your face. You're not quite sure why you're getting this attitude from this person. Ready? Is there something I can do for you?
It's all right. I'm okay. Like, whoa there, Sparky. Take it easy. That's how I would say it.
Then I'm just going to follow you around. So, okay. So there you just had this little acting lesson that leads into a couple of territories, I think, that are undeniable if you're open to the necessities of telling the story. It's not only an examination of a social circumstance, but it is also a situation where you, the individual, the character, gets to participate in an empathetic process. Because the person who said, "Can I help you?" to the old book, that's just caring for somebody. That's actually fine. The person at the information booth might, at the end of that night, come back and say, "Well, I was in such a cranky mood with that guy last night. Maybe I should examine what my own part is." And the shopkeeper said, "I jumped all over that guy. And he turned out to be a pretty cool guy. He wasn't one of the people who kind of ripped me off." Likewise, the old person who hurt their knee would go home and say, "A young person just was so kind to me today, and they didn't have to be. And I really appreciate that. You actually made my day." The person in the city hall that was bringing up the papers and said, "Well, I ran smack dab into the man today, and guess what? The patriarch is still taking something out of me. So I'm going to avoid that person from now on, not have to do it again." And the last one, the guy walked into a shop, just said, "So long, Em. I love you so much." No, we're all very busy. Emma Watson, ladies and gentlemen. I love you. We made a movie together called The Circle. It was one of the most magnificent times. Remember? Yeah. Take care, darling. Now, everybody, please be cool. Don't try to search Emma out. Just acknowledge the fact that she's here studying and advancing the nature of storytellers just the same way we all are. So, what I wanted to do in that basic exercise is, there's this old saying that there are no small parts, there are only small actors. And if you go back in the great lexicon of film, you end up, if you study old movies, you can find these tiny moments where someone who is great actually has a very small part in a very big movie. You look at Turner Classic Films, you probably know all these yourselves. Sometimes there is just somebody in a film, you just say, "Who is that?" And they end up being something huge and big. Why? Because they told the truth, because they actually stretched the concept of the empathetic moment that anybody can have in a movie if they say something so beautifully and so truthfully and so accurately and is so real, even if the lines are only, "Is there something I can do for you?" or "It's all right, I'm okay." You can move mountains just with those two lines. Thanks, everybody. So now we're talking.
So that was Tom Hanks. I think he should stick to acting, stay away from directing. No, but I kid. A lot of poignant things he said. Obviously, an accomplished veteran in the industry. He knows what he's talking about, But on the same token, or on the flip side of that token, he's been around long enough, and he's kind of done everything that he can. Again, how much more does he have to show, right? So it's time for the new guard, which it can be you. You can be the new guard because you have a unique, life experience, wholly unique to yourself, right? That nobody's experienced, that you can show through your decisions, through how you see things, through the processing of these thoughts as the action is unfolding in front of you. Again, micro, right? It's not about showing. Oh, your dog died. You get on your knees, you fall on your face, and you cry. I don't think so. Let's not insult the audience's attention, albeit the audience, 50% of them eat McDonald's and drink Coca Cola, but we can't hold that against them. It's time to elevate society through the elevation of the arts, right? We can't discount the intelligence of the audience. And that's why micro processing, micro expressions is the name of the game, right? You don't have an assumption of what you're going to do before you do it, right? That's bad acting. You already know what you're going to do. You have the um, luxury or the the curse of knowing what's going to happen before the audience does because you've memorized the script. So you already know what you're going to do. You've rehearsed your lines, you know how you're going to say it, you know when you're going to say it, the timing of it, you know where you're going to stand, how you're going to stand, you know all of that stuff, and that's why you're a bad actor. Let's not do that, right? Let's not insult the audience's intelligence, right? Let's process things as they're unfolding. Let's at least pretend we don't know what's going to happen in the scene. And that's why 99% of television and movies is garbage, right? And I'm just going to stop here before I offend too many people, but this is just my personal opinion, right? And there's a difference between um, acting and fine acting, right? And any acting is bad acting at the end of the day. That's all I'm going to say.